Hey, so welcome back. Peace and Education here. We're just keeping you updated with what's going on in the field of education, research, and all that good stuff. So there was a forum today. If you watched my video yesterday, there was a forum between AERA and OECD talking about a recent study that they did. The study was, again, just to kind of bring it all back into context, the study was eight different countries, 700 teachers, over 10,000 students. I think it was like 17.5. So what they did was they selected groups of teachers in these eight countries, and then they video recorded them doing a lesson on quadratic equations. Everyone did the same lesson. I mean, not the same lesson, but everybody were doing on the same topic. And whatnot, and same time frame and all that good stuff. So they did the two recordings, and they also collected artifacts to kind of analyze and to see how teachers are teaching around the world, and how kind of see where are the similarities, where are the differences, kind of the opportunities for growth, and kind of all of that. So this study was just released on the 16th. So this was very timely and very, with everything going on with the COVID pandemic and everyone trying to learn different teaching styles and all this, it's just a very timely conversation. So the forum is actually talking about the results and kind of putting things into perspective about kind of what we can take from these results and kind of what are some of the implications. The panel was great. The panel was very informative and very just on top of things as far as in and then even where they are in their lives. It was a very mixed base. We had somebody from the National Board of Standards. We had somebody from the China. We had people from Colombia. So I mean, it was very diverse. To kind of jump off things, one of the main things, pretty much throughout the entire conversation, was treating this as growth, and kind of treating this observation as an opportunity for peer to peer collaboration when we're talking about teachers learning from teachers. Um, they brought up this idea of teachers. They're kind of fragile in this time. This is a very uncertain time. Teachers are dealing with a lot. I mean, everybody is students, administrators, everyone. But in this case, we're talking about teachers and their practices, and so this is a fragile time. So they're talking about how this model that they set up. Kind of presents this space to where peers are interacting with peers, and it's a learning growth collaborative space, and how positive that kind of thing can be. And that just speaking to that being the kind of the best and safest space to kind of push out some of these initiatives and these professional development opportunities. So that that was definitely some things that they talked about. Uh, about teachers having stake. The teachers need to have stake in what they're talking about. I mean, in the development and in the professional development, the teachers need to be involved in that policy and understand what's going on. Um, One of the presenters spoke to professional development needs three kind of key things in his eyes. I believe this was John Bo from China. He says that they must have purpose. The professional development must have a purpose. The teachers must see the purpose. It also must be goal oriented. We got to have some tasks set out. What are we trying to get accomplished in this thing? And then we must have to also talk about the sustainability aspect of it. So, how are we going to keep doing this forward and continue this conversation and this dialogue? Because many times we see these initiatives begin, but we don't always kind of have that sustainability to keep them moving forward and to keep applying that same pressure. And then right after that, member from the national board, Ms. Peggy Birkins, she jumped in and says, um, pretty much. Oh, sorry. Let me back up. Right after we talked about that, it was to go on with that, talking about the purpose and the goals and the sustainability. We have to recognize a comment saying that a lot of the good initiatives that we see within education um, are coming what we would call from maybe like the bottom up. It's kind of this idea of maybe the system getting out of the way and letting the teachers and the schools kind of develop and understand what they need to provide to these students and kind of shape the policies behind that, and not really the vice versa, shape the policies up here, then everybody else down here got to do them. So that's kind of what they spoke to. And then once someone started to speak about that, that's when Ms. Peggy Brookins jumped in and said, yeah, with the national board and their standards, she made emphasis that the standards were constructed for teachers by teachers. That, with that being said, I believe that I'm not really 100% sure. I can't stand on that and say that, but we do sometimes see that, yes, some of the boards and some of the policies are kind of constructed by teachers and quote unquote experts in those fields. But what we also see sometimes is that these teachers and these experts are sometimes far removed from the classroom. So we have to kind of take that into account too. This is a conversation that I would like to have myself is, yes, these folks that are on these national boards are, 30, 40-year teachers, but when was your last semester in the classroom, or when was your last observation, when was the last time that you were actually connected with a school in a way that you really understand what's going on in those communities? So those are conversations just from my end. Questions started to come up in the chat and from just different individuals, and even within the panel discussion about comparability and how can we take this data and possibly maybe compare it with country to country, and then maybe within the country, maybe region to region, and that kind of thing. And uh, I mean, they spoke to it a little bit. They did speak to some of the limitations of the study. So there was, I think, four out of the eight, I think it was maybe like half and half, or maybe three out of the eight of the countries that that they didn't have access to the entire region. So they had to specify a certain region. And then they put all that in their findings, saying that I believe that Madrid was one of them. They only had access to a part of Madrid. So that is one thing that you have to consider there. And then also when we talk about comparability, when we're talking about the sizes, because within that case, if you're trying to compare certain groups or certain demographics, I think that is a lot of where the issue would come in. Is they said that the data sample size, as far as comparability, is may not be conducive enough to actually run that kind of statistical analysis and to see what is going on between them and whatever. Um, One thing another highlight was, this is an initiative and a push behind the practices and understanding how teachers are delivering instruction. But one comment that really resonated with me was that we still need to pay attention to the what. What are we teaching? So yes, the how we are teaching is very important. How we deliver it, all that good stuff. That's immensely important. But we also must pay attention to the what we are teaching, the content, and the why. Like, why are we teaching this? So those are very two important conversations that we cannot lose sight of while we're trying to kind of nail down this idea of a good teaching classroom, good teaching practices. And that brought me to another point that people make. Hey, there is no perfect teacher. There is no perfect practice. So this is just kind of a conversation that we can continue. And they kind of drop 3 points is like, one, we can, this is a great thing where we can improve the collaborative teaching space with development between teachers. Um, Two, we can definitely expand this on a more global scale and include other countries like the United States and Canada, and in French speaking countries that were not represented throughout this study. So those are some big key things that we can do moving forward to try to kind of push this. And then they're inviting academics and universities into this space to kind of look at this and see how we are teaching and how we are equipping the next group of teachers to come up. So I think this is a good study for the College of Education to look at. And yeah, it's just I think we can get some real good implications from this. And again, the resources are available, and the tools that they use were very good and available for you to kind of include that. I think, especially for the United States, speaking to this, we have to get rid of this model behind teaching where teachers feel like observation is an I got you moment. Like, hey, I'm coming into this is like I'm bringing down the hammer. So through my teaching experience, there's a lot of teachers that have expressed that they don't feel comfortable with the observation. So getting rid of that stigma is kind of maybe where one battle we would have to definitely look at within the United States. Not sure about other countries, but especially when we want to expand this and kind of make this a global collaborative thing, we definitely have to get teachers on board because they are they are the base. So, with that being said, I'm going to get out of here, guys, and this has just been another piece in education. I hope this was informative to you guys. Peace.